Take your respective seats. We're all set to begin. Requesting all the participants to kindly assemble in the hall and take your seats. We're all set to begin. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a kind request requesting you to kindly settle down and assemble. So participants that are still having lunch, you're requested to kindly join us inside the conference room and settle down. We're all set to begin with the next panel. Thank you very much. We request you to kindly settle down, turn your cell phones on silent. We'll be beginning in the next 2 minutes. We request you to kindly settle down, keep your cell phones on silent. We will begin with the next panel discussion in the next 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed your lunch. Gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the second session, the post-lunch session, day 2 of the Real Estate and Infrastructure Investors Summit 2017. We're all ready for the next panel session, and the topic that we'll be discussing in this session is the role of housing finance companies in Indian realty. And to start things, we would like to invite our panelists on stage first. I would like to call on stage the Honorable Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development Department, Health and Medical Education and Social Welfare, Jammu and Kashmir. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Srimati Asiya Nakash ji. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Joining ma'am on stage is the Director and Head, Financial Institution, India Ratings and Research, Mr. Prakash Agarwal. The next panelist on stage is the Managing Director and Head, Real Estate Business, JM Financial, Ms. Tara Subramaniam. We would request the Chief Investment Officer, PropTiger, Mr. Ankur Dhawan, to join us for the panel discussion. Introducing next, the Chief General Manager, State Bank of India, Mr. Vaidyanath MG. Joining in a few moments would be Mr. Rohit Poddar, the Managing Director of Poddar Developers. He'll be joining the panel in a while. And it's now time for us to invite our It's now time for us to invite our moderator for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Managing Director and CEO, Nisus Finance Services Corporation Limited, Mr. Amit Goenka. And could I please request the audience to put their hands together and welcome the fabulous panel on stage. Mr. Goenka, I leave the wonderful panel on the stage to you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope we are all awake and bright and shiny for a wonderful panel this afternoon. It's an extraordinary panel, a very, very critical discussion topic on growth of housing finance companies. We're spending 2 days discussing the growth of the housing sector, the critical importance of housing for all in nation building and how it contributes to the GDP, and so on and so forth. We yesterday heard the Honorable Union Minister for State for Housing talk about how public and private partnerships need to work to grow housing in India. But the bedrock, the bedrock for all of this clearly is the support, the contribution and participation of housing finance companies. It's without capital that no houses can be built, owned, leased or consumed. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in welcoming the panel for me, so we are all alive and focused. I don't think anybody wants this panel. Can we have a better round of applause, please? Thank you so much, much appreciated. It's a privilege to welcome the Honorable Minister for Housing from J&K, Madam Nakash, on stage. It brings a very different perspective to our discussion in terms of growth of housing, inclusive or social housing in all states of this country. It's also a privilege to have Tara with us, who spent a lifetime working the housing space and now also, furthering housing finance companies in the country. And of course, Mr. Vaidyanathan, a veteran, a dear friend and sponsor who's always aimed to bring SBI products, housing products to the masses. And I think that will be a very important discussion that we hope to have. Of course, you have Prakash, who's been watching the growth of housing finance companies, the way their cash flows, their ratings, their credit quality, and how their business models are working and what it means for the financial services and investors at large. And last but not the least, Ankur, thank you for joining us. PropTiger, along with Housing.com, brings a very important perspective, because a lot of the data, a lot of the consumption, a lot of their sales, a lot of the demand demographics, etc., actually come from their stables. And that's really where the housing demand is. So we'd love to hear from you, Ankur, on where do you think the growth drivers are and how housing finance companies are playing that role in creating absorption, especially in the affordable housing space. So with those opening remarks, I'd definitely actually start with you, Ankur, as well, to pick up that question and give us a little more insight.
Yeah, so sure. So I think affordable housing, we have been hearing about it, I think for the last 2 days, we have been hearing a lot about it. And that's a question which as a group also we have, where will it go and how can we have a play in this market? One of the play obviously is the home finance companies. We have a lot of data in terms of the customers who come on the portals and they want home loan. But to be honest, like we are also in the transaction business and we do a huge number of transactions. And if a transaction is not happening, the key reason, if we look at that, 40% of the time the guy is not getting a loan because of which the transaction is not able to happen. So there's a lot of demand for the affordable housing. There's a lot of people who want home loans. But the main companies, the key companies who actually approve those projects, typically in the beginning, whether it's a large guys like HDFC, SBI, sometimes the processes which they have, sometimes the underwriting criteria they have, and these guys don't fit it because typically they don't have a proper income proof or proper cash flows to show that, okay, I can repay. And that is where I think a lot of innovation needs to be done by the housing finance companies to how to underwrite these kind of profiles and do it quickly as well, because there are some new HFCs who have come in the play who actually do this kind of a loan, but they need a lot of time because they need to do the feel and touch and feel good. So technologies are available now. There are a lot of data is available on social media. Can we use that to do a lot more on the credit underwriting? I think that is where it will determine the success of the affordable housing.
Thank you. I think that's a good opening remark from you, Ankur. Moving to Mr. Vaidyanath, obviously I think there's a lot of burden, I think, given the thrust on affordable housing on housing finance companies and banks, especially like yourself, to actually create inclusive social housing products that will allow absorption, especially for the underbanked or the less than qualified credit consumers, like Ankur mentioned. How do you see SBI's role, and how do you see the home loan growth actually moving forward from this point on, given the thrust on affordable housing and the call for housing for all by the Honorable Prime Minister?
Yeah. Housing finance is one activity, I think, which has been growing steadily, almost at around 16% during last couple of years. Although the credit in other segments is not comparable, credit growth in other segments, but this housing finance is one area where substantial growth we have seen. And SBI definitely during these last couple of years, we have seen very, very impressive growth, almost 17, 18, 19%. And going forward, definitely we believe that with RERA coming in, we believe that the scope for us to operate even in the areas where we were not operating earlier, like project funding. We were not very aggressive players there earlier. But with RERA coming in, we believe that even that area we will be very, very positive. And regarding home finance, affordable housing, I would like to just give one statistics. We are already into affordable housing in a big way, as far as SBI is concerned. Last year, whatever loans we have sanctioned, in terms of numbers, 70% of our loans were for people with income below 6 lakhs, up to 6 lakhs. And we have not sanctioned small number of loans. Last year, we had sanctioned 2,71,000 home loans. I'm talking of the previous financial year. Out of 2,71,000 loans, nearly 1,70,000 were for people with income up to 6 lakhs. Yes, there are different definitions for affordable housing, but it is this segment of the people who, where we are already operating in a big way. And going forward, we believe that there is huge scope for this activity in the
Thank you very much.
For everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Moving to you, Madam Natasha, I'd like to open the commentary from you on how do you see the role of financial institutions in building housing for for inclusive housing or social housing, including for states like J&K, which are in need for greater housing growth. Where do you think the financial institutions, housing finance companies can participate in making that housing for all dream come true?
Thank you, Mr. Vanka. I think when you talk about the financial institutions, I have been working from the grassroots, and I think that I'm from Srinagar state. And it is trust me, it has become a choked state because of non-availability of houses. We have seen during the last 2 decades, we have been witnessing, influx from the rural areas just to take refuge, and for the other reasons, sometimes from the security, sometimes for the education, into the state. But I must say, not much has been done regarding the housing sector, or when you talk about the affordable housing. Then when you have the government policies, when you talk about the housing for all and affordable housing for all, I think is a good and a very positive step. And we must try to take it and like you discussed yesterday also, not as a problem but as a challenge. And the role of the financial institutions, as I have witnessed it from being the representative of the people and interacting with the common people, rather, I must say, which most of the you people have not interacted with, but I am interacting every day. They are not getting any kind of help or response, or a positive response even from the financial institutions. Like gentleman to me just now said that they are providing affordable housing to the certain income group, but I don't find such thing in other states happening. Maybe it is happening in the metro states, because the conditions and the guidelines are so strict that it's very difficult for the common people to approach to the financial institutions and get his his application or whatsoever representation get ratified. So I think the role of the financial institutions should be positive, and I wish Somebody from the financial institutions from the government of India should have been here also, so that we must receive at least what kind of guarantee, a statement, guarantee by the statement that we are with the financial institutions when it comes to the affordable housing for all. I will talk about my ministry. We have already identified, I think, more than 135,000 houses who are without homeless, who needs housing for all. And from the Srinagar state, other states, we are working on that. Udhampur state, we are working in. But I am not happy because it is coming in the scattered way. It is coming up in Udhampur, it is coming in Baramulla, but I am not happy the way they are coming up. That is why we want the role of the developers. Like you people, when you have the expertise, all the energy, expertise, and experience, knowledge, where you can try to build, such affordable housing with the help of financial institutions. And of course, the government is always there. Other governments, our government or other governments is always there. But your role is very important, and the role of the financial institutions. I will elaborate on this point, that government needs to infuse lots of funding to the financial institutions, so that they take up the projects instantly. And the role of the housing ministry should be also very positive when it comes to the, as I was discussing, there should be availability of banking. Land bank should be there, and of course the availability of fund is also very necessary.
Thank you very much, Madam. Tara, to move on to you, I think we've talked about the importance, and nobody can undermine the importance of the role of housing finance companies. I think more than anything else, they are the first and foremost growth drivers when it comes to creation or absorption of housing stock. As one of the newer players, how do you see your role panning out, and do you see any challenges in the current environment in propelling housing for all as a mainstream product from your stable?
Lending by itself is a huge challenge. There's no two ways about it. But I've always believed, and I think that all of you will agree, that the affordable housing people are the ones who are difficult to give money to. But believe you me, history has proved, data has proved that they are far less delinquent than the so-called higher income guys. Because for everybody, I think their home, especially their first home, is so important. Agree that they will delay a little bit, maybe 10 days, 20 days to pay the interest. And if ever there is a default, it will be because there's either been a loss of job or there's been a death. But it'll never be willful default from them. But yes, we are a little late where housing finance is concerned. GEM is a little late. But I think there's enough in the market, and there is a huge market for affordable housing. And with James' presence in the real estate for the last 7 years, and a few of us who've been in the organization for the last 4 or 5 years, I think a challenge has been mitigated a little bit.
Perfect. Now moving on to the role of NHB and how the ELSS credit systems or the various subsidy schemes have worked. Do you think that this is the sustainable way of actually growing credit in the market space for affordable housing, or do you think that housing finance companies and banks can actually continue to grow their credit book without the support of these schemes, or how easy is it to work these schemes? Starting with you, Mr.
See, affordable housing, first the houses have to become affordable. So finance, yes, like Honorable Minister also said, finance is very critical component which will help in owning a house. But the house also has to be affordable. So whatever steps are required to make the house affordable, maybe coming out with the new technology for construction, the land issues, where the cost of construction can be reduced by reducing the cost of the land, and the stamp duty and registration in various states. That itself adds up to substantial amount. So when a person wants to buy a house, even for example, 40 lakh or 30 lakh rupee house, in the initial time when the person has to buy, the loan is available. Now, there are large number of players. In fact, every day the number of housing finance companies is increasing. So yesterday, whatever was our count, today you will have to add few numbers. So there is huge number of these housing finance companies who have entered the market. So availability of finance, yes, there is problem in respect of those people who are not having papers, KYC or income. But other than that, I think there are large number of financiers available to actually fund the housing. But the houses are not within the reach of the buyer. So that aspect needs to be taken care of.
Amit, I'd just like to add, because you asked whether we need NHB and the government support for increasing the housing. I think it's very, very important. Just now, just before lunch, we had a very nice meeting with the Secretary for Housing. They've all been very, very positive. I think they're also looking at meeting the dream of our Prime Minister and all of us. And I must say, I'm not saying it because I'm part of NAREDCO, but I think NAREDCO is doing a great job to contribute to this affordable housing dream of the country. And yes, NHB and all other authorities and government, they are helping, and I think we need their help to sustain and to grow.
So I think Mr. Vaidyanath doesn't need that support, but clearly I think all of us.
No. It is like this. You see, everybody is required. NHB definitely, you see now today, housing finance companies, that is other than the banks, they have market share of 41%. You see, it is not small. So the banks are having only 59% market share in housing. The remaining 41% is with housing finance companies. And there comes the importance of NHB. NHB is not only the regulator, they are also supporting all these housing finance companies in the form of soft loans and other things. So the role of NHB, absolutely there is no debate about that. So definitely they have a big role to play and they are playing, that's what I feel.
Moving to you, Prakash, I think, while we just mentioned that, and rightly Mr. Vaidyanath mentioned that given the importance of housing finance companies, the attractive valuations actually something that we've been seeing in the recent past. There has been a spurt in or growth in the number of housing finance companies that are getting started, either by asset managers or NBFCs or financial groups, financial services groups, etc. How do you see how do you do a credit assessment of these companies, in terms of their growth, in terms of their sustainability, or do you see any risks forming in their business models?
No, I guess, the opportunity is tremendous. I mean, we came out with a report a couple of months back where we said that affordable housing, and the way we defined affordable housing was less than 20 lakhs of loan size. I mean, almost 6 trillion of opportunity lies by 2022. So it's a huge opportunity in that sense, and we are just scratching at the top. So if you see the structure, the way the housing finance companies, a large part of the market is still cornered by or dominated by the companies which are actually focusing on MIG and slightly LIG segment. So this is only in the recent few years we are seeing the smaller segment as the true sense affordable housing segment becoming economically viable, and people are, or the companies are looking at this. So you're right, at the last count, there was about 84 housing finance companies which have, and recently the NHB has been slightly, have been very proactive in terms of or helping out housing finance companies set up. So in that sense, there's a huge opportunity for all of them. The market is too large. The thing to watch out is it that each company is stepping into Me Too's kind of a scenario where they are targeting the same set of customers, or is it they have a different special proposition to tap to? Do they have really the infrastructure, the manpower, or do they understand the customer? Is there a connect to them? I think this is very important. The traditional way of looking at customers probably won't work. The templatized model, probably that is the thing which could work in a larger ticket size, but on a smaller ticket size, very important to have a connect, the physical connect, to understand the customer. I think in that sense, there's a huge marketability. The challenge, I guess, for some of the companies will be how do they do the funding, given that housing finance will be a long-term asset side. You need to have a corroborative funding as well. So it's very important that the companies which are coming to the segment actually prepare for, in terms of similar kind of a longer tenure funding. Because if there were to be some tightness in the market, the refinancing risk could go up, and in that case, we might see the challenges cropping up. The other thing I just want to bring it out in terms of what kind of capital is coming from this kind of, when I say equity capital. So in the past, what we have seen is that there was a patient capital for this segment, which was willing to build the institution, grow it, make it sustainable. So that becomes very important to build an institution to a larger scale where, you need to have a patient capital where you are willing to invest in the process, systems, infrastructure, so that, you allow this company to incubate. Yeah.
Rajiv, the one thing that I want to tell you is that, you talked about whether people are having the infrastructure. I think one of the greatest advantage that the new housing finance companies who are looking at affordable is that demonetization has opened up banking for all the kind of people who were not banking earlier, which is going to be a huge, huge support for us, because banking is how they also get into the mainstream. And also another thing is that, with your Aadhaar, your KYC documents, everything being in place, I think the so-called underprivileged people are now in the mainstream, which is really going to help the housing finance companies. And also, I think when the rating companies are looking, they should look at it that way, that it's easier for us now to go out and get the money back. It's that the risk is definitely mitigated hell of a lot.
To extend that question to you, Mr. Vaidyanath, on the issue of risk, you mentioned a very incredible number of the number of loans you've given, on the income bracket of below 6 lakhs. So 2 questions. One, do you see a precipitation of risk because of these, extensions of loans? And obviously, it's a very important part of the economic segment, but do you see any risk factoring that needs to be done as far as the growth of this segment is concerned from your bank's balance sheet? And second is, how would you help inclusive growth, especially in states like J&K or northeastern states, etc., where there is a crying need for such loans? So 2 questions, actually.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to add one more before I answer these 2 questions. See, the mushrooming growth of these housing finance companies, they are required. Ultimately, there is huge work to be done. The mortgages in India are just 9% of the GDP. So there is huge gap to be filled up there. So there is need for large number of players. So even whatever we have, furthermore are required. But what will happen today, since there is huge demand by the financial institutions for home loans. Okay, every financial institution is actually running around for home loans. So when that is the situation, when you have bigger players where the interest rates offered are very, very low, and it is easier to access this finance because the larger players have infrastructure or the network across the country. Now it is likely that all the salaried class and also the business people, the self-employed people who have the required papers will go to these larger players or where they are getting competitive interest rate. Now that leaves the other segment who are not actually able to get the finance with this segment, these larger players, or where the interest rates are competitive. Why the interest rates are competitive with some players, whether big or small, is that they are choosy about the customer, they are managing the risk, and the pricing is also as per the risk. So they are pricing their product very competitively. That means they are also managing their risk there. That leaves the other HFCs who have set up, who have to actually grow. It should not so happen that the large number of housing finance companies who are coming into the market day in and day, every day we will find at least few added. So that should not so happen that to grow they should not get subprime borrowers, which will increase the risk for the whole sector. It will increase that will increase the risk for the whole sector, real estate sector, housing sector itself, not only for the financial institutions, for the whole real estate sector itself. When it comes to SBI, absolutely we have a very robust risk management system, including the appraisal of the property, appraisal of the person, and we do it very, very methodically. A lot of due diligence is done, and only after that. And our experience is that this middle segment, definitely there is no additional risk. And when we say 6 lakhs income, it is definitely those people who are able to get 30. You see, the sweetest spot for home loan in India, I would say, is anywhere between 15 lakhs to almost 50, 60 lakhs. And they fit into this. So there is no additional risk involved there. So there was another question.
In terms of inclusive growth and...
Yeah, very important. You see, we are present, that will, I would also would like to address Madam's concern. You see, we are present everywhere in India. And out of the 24,000 branches, what SBI has, I don't think there will be any branch other than which is not meant to do retail business. Retail business means it is for international banking or something like that, or corporate banking, something like that. Other than such branches, I don't think there can be any branch, even in the remotest of the villages, which is not having a home loan. So we have been biggest player in this smaller segment, and our more than 30% of the loans come from this smaller rural, semi-urban and smaller urban centers. So we are everywhere and absolutely amongst the scheduled commercial banks. Our market share is almost 34-35%. So our presence is everywhere, and even in rural housing, there are schemes, special schemes in several states. We are again a major player there as well. So absolutely, when it comes to SBI, we are there for the affordable sector.
Absolutely, sir, and we definitely look forward to SBI's leadership and role when it comes to inclusive finance, and rural, especially when it concerns rural housing, because clearly I think that's going to be the driver also for India's housing finance growth. So I do appreciate your comments and your views on this panel. Okay, coming back to you, Ankur, we've been trying to answer questions. We've been trying to address, rather, your concern in some way, where the players like SBI and maybe some of the larger institutional players have been bringing products to ensure that even the underbanked clients or customers, do get credit, which was not available some time back. But, apart from the credit issue, are there innovations required in this space so that the offtake numbers improve? We've looked at subvention schemes. We've seen several combinations coming from housing finance companies. What do you think is required in terms of innovation from housing finance companies to propel the offtake of homes in India?
Sure. So as you mentioned that the subvention schemes have been launched. Typically, if you look at a buyer who is buying in a segment of 10 to 12 lakh, the first thing he has an issue is producing that down payment itself, that first 10% or 20% which he has to put, 1.5 lakh, that itself becomes a challenge for him to get. So that is where I think some innovation is required. And some developers have come up with the schemes where there's 5% down payment and then you can pay remaining. So that's one challenge. Second big role which I believe the HFCs have to play going forward is to adopt technology. I think that is where the biggest issue have been. Once buyer, he wants to buy a home and he is waiting for the home loan finance, home loans to get approved. The time period, if it varies between 7 days to 2.5 months, that becomes tough. During that time, he loses hopes, he drops his case itself. So I think technology adoption, especially in the channel, when it goes to channel who has accepted the file, how quickly we can communicate to them whether this loan will get approved or not. He should know all the underwriting criteria to do at least first assessment to know whether this guy should be getting a loan from SBI or from another HFCs. So that is where I think when the time spent in getting a home loan is high, a customer typically drops and this is that like, I'm not going to get a home loan, let me not buy a home, I'll continue to be in rent. In that problem, all the HFCs have to fix going forward on improving the customer serving, improving the underwriting process, adopting technology to do the communication better.
Well said, Ankur. I think from one technology company to the other housing finance companies, I think it's a great pointer, and I think certainly we need to move down the technology path. So, coming back to you, Prakash, do you think that technology will be a differentiator apart from other financial or fiscal parameters, in evaluating the growth of housing finance companies? And what are the top 5 indicators or parameters you would look at in assessing the strength or rather the credibility of a housing finance company?
Yeah. No, technology is certainly very important, especially in the space where the affordable housing companies are operating, because OpEx could be a big differentiator between how the companies operate. So it has to be, the use of technology would certainly bring down the OpEx and make the company more competitive. So the importance of it can't be overstated. Having said that, as I said previously, that there has to be fair bit of human connect as well in this segment. I mean, that can't be taken away. So while you have technology and processes in terms of assessing, in terms of your strengthening your processes, but in terms of connect, you need to have human touch and human people. So that is one piece. In terms of how do we assess, affordable housing companies, the idea is that it remains, the parameters remain same. So we try to understand, how strong are their systems, how strong are their processes, what kind of, capital they have bought in, is it a patient capital or the capital is, for short term. We also trying to understand what kind of funding and liquidity policy the company is carrying. So if the funding is largely short term, where the large gaps are there, or if there is not enough liquidity buffers, that would be, we would view that as a concern. We also try to understand what is the strength of the management, how experienced is the management in that segment. So what kind of experience they bring in that segment, what have they done in the past. And we also try to understand, what is the ground connect. So people who are hiring in the branches, the people who actually acquire the files, what kind of experience they have. So all these things are something which we look forward to and we try to assess when you look at a housing finance company in terms of assessing their strength, their, how can they scale up. So these things are what we look at in HFCs.
Thank you. Mr. Vaidyanath, we're talking about technology, and I think Ankur brought up a very strong point. And I think SBI has also been the leader of innovation. I remember the days when SBI was the first to bring teaser home loans, much to the surprise of several people, including the regulators. And I think you've never shied away from being at the forefront of innovation. Technology could be one of them, but also keeping in mind the market needs. There have been various solutions. Where do you think the next set of solutions or innovations are coming from SBI?
Yeah. You see, now in the earlier days, taking a home, buying a home itself was a big exercise. Now, giving a home loan also, it used to be equally a time-consuming process. But as the things are evolving, for example, we have a product called as Insta Top-Up Home Loan. Now that is zero paper loan. That means no paperwork is involved for a person who is having home loan with SBI. And if the person wants to take top-up loan, the person need not come to the bank. The person need not submit any paper. The person on internet banking itself can get the loan wherever the person is. Absolutely zero paperwork. So the bank has already come out with big technological initiatives. And going forward, I think the bank always has lived up to its leadership status. And in the home loan front as well, you see, we have a very, very robust online application platform where the customer gets instantly in-principle sanction. Within few seconds, the person gets in-principle sanction. And internally also, the entire process is already on a technology platform. And you see, technology, it evolves on daily basis. So going forward, soon you will see major developments with regard to home loan as well with SBI. So at this stage, I would like to stop at that. The reason is that a lot of things are going to come in technological area. You will soon start hearing about that.
Wonderful. We're eager to know more as it gets rolled out, because clearly I think technology is the need of the hour.
I would like to add one point here. You see, going back to the role of housing finance companies, you see, there is business for everybody. There is business for banks. There is business for housing finance companies. There is business for NBFCs. Now, you see, they may be competing with each other in a small way, but they also supplement each other's role. For example, there is a segment of our home buyers, whom the larger players may not have, you see, they may not be in a position to serve. The smaller segment, particularly the cash segment, requires a different business model, which the organized player or the larger players may not be in a position to actually cater to. So that segment definitely, these HFCs and housing, these NBFCs, they have their strength there. And again, when I said they supplement each other, housing finance companies, again, we work with housing finance companies as well. We have a relationship there as well. Okay. We have a relationship with housing finance companies. Whatever we may not be doing, they are doing, and whatever support they require, we are there. We are also supporting housing finance companies. Yeah.
Like taking from here, I know for a fact that JM, when we start a housing finance company, we will get the kind of loans with the big daddies like HDFC and SBI aren't going to refuse to do. But I also know that once they get their CIBIL rating and all their other scores done, SBI is going to step in, HDFC is going to step in and going to take over, because, you know, transition of loans without prepayment is what it is. So, I mean, I know that my book is not going to grow, but I think we're going to be happy with that. So that's what we're going to supplement one another, is that we will get leads from companies like banks like SBI, so that we can go and lend to these people who don't get a loan. And once our loan is okay with us for 2 to 3 years, and they need to move and we are not able to reduce the rate of interest, we'll pass them on to the big daddies.
No, I'll just add to the point which Ms. Vijayan said in terms of business model. So if you see the delinquency ratios or delinquency numbers of a smaller loan less than 10 lakhs, it's vastly different between HFCs and bank. It simply shows that the business model which is required for the smaller ticket size loan has to be very different. So it has to be, doorstep approach, and you have to reach out to the customer, meet him regularly. So while he's right on a larger ticket size, probably the differentiation could be limited. But a smaller ticket size, you need to have a very differentiated model and differentiated policies to approach that segment.
No, so Prakash, what are the delinquency ratios? I mean, you throw some no light on the numbers. You're seeing the delinquency rates are vastly different. How different are they?
So I can tell you, of course, between various ticket size differs, but the numbers could be 4 to 5 times different compared to from banks to HFCs. That I can tell you. So in a loan less than 5-6 lakh, the number of a bank, it could be anywhere between 5-6%, whereas HFCs are generally NPLs could be 1.5%. So that's the difference we are talking about.
Moving to you, Ankur, again, just in terms of your overall experience or your overall suggestions on how you can find better collaboration for the overall objective of ensuring more growth of housing stock, more consumption of housing stock, therefore, in the country. What would be your key pointers or takeaways for this panel and for the audience?
Yeah, see, if you look at the kind of profiles which get financing easily are mostly salaried profiles. Whenever we go to the business class or we go to the next level of segment, the papers are not there. So that's why none of the HFCs will not lend them. So the processes have to evolve, and for that segment, once that segment start getting home loan easily, then only we can take 9%, which we quote today as a GDP ratio, to 50%, because all of these guys need home, but they know that they will not get, so they don't even try, I think, at present. Second part is that on the rural areas where the penetration is very less compared to the cities, I think no HFCs right now is focusing there, except obviously the large banks who have the branches there. I think HFCs will have to find those areas, those niche ticket sizes and those segment geographical areas where they can go actually and capture the market.
So moving to you, Tara, there are new opportunities and there are challenges. You outlined some challenges for HFCs, especially the smaller ones, the newer ones. But there are also areas of opportunity pointed out, which is targeting segments that maybe the big daddies or the big boys, as you rightly said, can't go after. How do you see that panning out, and what would be your sort of special formula, in A, growing the housing finance platform, B, addressing the housing for all concern or challenge that the entire industry has for itself?
Yeah, like he mentioned just now, I think each of us have enough meat in the game. There are enough areas which need to be tackled. JM is not going to be looking at the cities. We are going to be looking at the outskirts, and we're going to be looking at affordable housing. Literally, people who do not get loans from the big daddies are whom we are going to be addressing. And also, we are convinced, as it's been told to me twice in this panel, that it's also not just going to be giving them a loan. There has to be a certain amount of emotional bonding between us and the borrower. And it is true because, there are two things. One, you never ever talk to strangers. One is obviously your sex life and the other is money. But when a person comes to you and puts all his cards down and shows what are the finances that he has and what is it that he's got and doesn't have, they also talk to you, believe you me, all about their marital problems, their sister-in-law problem, mother-in-law problem, and you become part of their family. So I think what happens is over a period of time, we need to be not just bankers, but we also need to be an extended family member, which is going to help us get our money back faster. And then, the pride of them getting a house is something that we all have to share with them.
Thank you very much for that. So with that, Madam Nakash, I'd just like to come back to you finally. I think everybody here has shown a deep amount of inclination in the role of nation building, in the role of housing, in the support of the housing sector through financial institutions and housing finance companies. If there are ways and means that we can employ, that the industry at large or the financial institutions at large can employ to further that or accelerate that in certain segments of the country, in certain sectors of the country, we would look upon your guidance as well, the guidance of the governments within the country. And if there are any sort of closing thoughts or comments that you have for the audience or for the panel, we'd love to hear that now.
Mr. Goenka, when you talk about the nation building, I think the affordable housing when a person is having and a family is having a dwelling of his or her own, I think there's a first step towards the nation building. I think this affordable housing, which has been this project, which have been discussed in Delhi, here in Bombay as well, I think this is the first step towards where you build the strong nations, strong generations, there your children can afford to go to a particular school and they can have a better future. And at the same time, I will also ask, a corporate sector who's assembled there. I think from the most of the India's corporate sector, I think builders are here. I will ask them also, appeal them also from the representative from my state, that I will talk about the whole of the India, and you have a role to play. All the gentlemen here, all the corporate sector, they have a role to play where they can give a shape to the nation for the better future. We are not talking about big houses. In our state also, they are making houses they can afford houses in all over the India. They can afford houses outside India. They are buying houses in Dubai, London, Singapore, and etc. I don't want to talk about that. But when we talk about your role, I want you to play a very strong, and you have to play a strong role. As Madam talked about right now, she was talking about building the relation with that family or that dwelling, which you will help to build. I think that will build a relation and a nation and take us, beyond certain boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. We are completely out of time. I appeal to NAREDCO to also look at opening a Jammu and Kashmir chapter. I think Madam is very, very kind to, obviously spearhead it and give us guidance, bring the, participants of government and the corporate bodies together to build also the state of Jammu and Kashmir like we're building the rest of India. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think I would now appeal, thank you again individually to each one of our esteemed panelists. Thank you, Mr. Vaidyanathan, for staying back. And thank you very much, Tara. Thank you very much, Madam, and all my esteemed friends here to take time out and understand the importance of what we are creating is a $1 trillion industry, friends. By 2025, we are estimating that the construction sector is a $1 trillion opportunity in India. Nothing to be missed, nothing to be taken lightly. And obviously, the role of housing finance is second to none. We have Today, fortunately, the esteemed leaders of this space, and I think we must take the opportunity to use their guidance, use their innovation, work with them so that we can meet the challenges that are, and the opportunities that are laying before us in the next five years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Could we request the panel to step a little in front for a photograph? And while this happens, we would request Mr. Rajan Bandelkar, the VP, Narredco, to kindly join us on stage and present a token of appreciation to our Honorable Minister, Srimati Asiya Nakash ji. And we would also request Mr. Bandelkar to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Vaidyanath. Mr. Bandelkar, if you could also present a token of appreciation to Mr. Vaidyanath, sir. We request Mr. Prashant Sharma, Treasurer, Narredco Maharashtra, to join us on stage and present a token of appreciation to Ms. Tara Subramaniam. Mr. Sharma, if you could join us on stage to present a token of appreciation to Ms. Tara Subramaniam.